What's up, guys? We are back. We are doing the top 13 of 2013. Thank you if you've watched my video. There's like 5 of you, but that's cool as fuck. I'm sure like 4 of the watches are me, whatever. So yeah, we're gonna try to cut the bullshit and just get straight into it. Not talk so much about each album, but actually get through the list. I think that might help a little bit. So yeah, starting with number 13, we've got Action Bronson-Saaab Stories EP. Action Bronson is a Queens rapper. You probably saw him in the 2011 video for Well Done with Statik Selecta. This is a dope EP. It's got some cool tracks. My favorite track is probably Strictly for My Jeeps, which has a really cool beat, and he's got some really good bars in it. It's actually Action spittin', which you don't hear very often. He's also got this triple backflip track, which is pretty sweet. It's a good EP. Definitely not my favorite by any means, but it's a good EP. Number 12, Statik Selecta-Extended play. Statik Selecta is a producer, so this is actually just like a producer's album. If you don't know much about producer albums, it's essentially he makes the beats, gets a whole bunch of artists to rap on top of the beats, and then he releases it. DJ Khaled is famous for this, only DJ Khaled doesn't do fucking shit, and Statik Selecta actually makes his beats. Great feature list. I mean, I could name off these features, and it's just names of underground hip-hop artists. He's even got some heavyweights on here. Styles P, Bun B, and Hit Boy. Joel Ortiz, Pain in the Ass, whoever the fuck that is. Action Bronson, Big Body Best, Terminology, Raekwon, Joey Badass, Black Thought. He's got some great artists on here. He's got some sweet beats. Favorite track is probably The Spark. It's got Mike Posner on the hook, and then Action and Joey Badass on it. Great album. Even though it's called Extended Play, this is an album. Yeah, so that's number 12. Number 11 goes to My Name Is My Name by Pusha T. Everybody kind of knows Pusha. Once a duo with his brother Malice, aka No Malice, called Clips. Now he's releasing solo shit with good music. This was his debut solo full-length album, and he killed it. It's a great album. My favorite tracks are probably Nostalgia, which I believe has a Kendrick verse on it, and then and then Numbers on the Board has one of the greatest beats I've ever heard. He's spitting on top of it. He's got some sweet verses. Fantastic. Go check this out if you haven't. Pusha T, My Name Is My Name. Number 10 is JonWayne-Rap Album One. John Wayne is a rapper. I don't remember where he's from, but he is signed to Stone's Throw Records. He's a producer. He makes his own beats. He raps on top of them. He's very eclectic. It's definitely not for every rap fan. It's very underground. If you know anything about Stone's Throw, it's very underground. If you're not into the underground hip-hop scene, you will not enjoy John Wayne. This is a good album. The song Black Magic has some of the best wordplay I've heard in years. Fantastic album. I like the fact that he's white and the cover is just a fucking cracker, which just makes me laugh. Number 9, Ritz, The Life and Times of Johnny Valient. This is his debut album on Strange Music. If you don't know much about Ritz, he's I want to say Georgia rapper. I think he's from Atlanta. Same neighborhood as Yellow Wolf. 2 different paths. Yellow Wolf got signed with M, released a whole bunch of albums and kind of tanked. Ritz went to Strange, and he just gets better and better. Known for his flow. He's got some fantastic album ideas, some fantastic song ideas. If you've ever heard the song on here, it's called Amen. Or on the album after this, Next to Nothing, called Call 911. I thought those were both on here. Whatever. Just brutal tracks. Very good. He can spit. He's got bars. And at the same time, he's got flow, which is not easy to do. I always tell people, they ask me about like Tech 9. And it's like, I don't like Tech 9 because, yeah, he can flow, but I'm not impressed with his bars. Ritz can flow. He chops his words up very well, but what he's saying has content too, which is very difficult to do. So yeah, number 9, Ritz, The Life and Times of Johnny Valient. Number 8, J. Cole, Born Sinner. This is the sophomore album by J. Cole. This is actually probably my least favorite album by J. Cole. Purely because it doesn't have those tracks that a J. Cole album needs. I really liked the fact that he's definitely stepping up his game compared to Cole World, A Sideline Story. That felt very safe. It was just another Cole World mixtape, except he turned it into an album. Had Jay-Z on it. It just felt very safe. Some tracks were awesome. Some tracks were just, okay, now you're just trying to be Jay. Mr. Nice Watch is a very good example, where it sounds like something Jay-Z would rap on. It sounds like something that Jay would do on one of his albums, but J. Cole did it. This, he's kind of finding his own lane. He's got Kendrick on a track. It's very, the beats have changed a little bit. It has a little bit more emotion. It has a little bit more anger, which I feel like anger is very important in the hip-hop community. So yeah, great album. Number 8, J. Cole, Born Sinner. Excuse that, ESPN is alerting me of something. Number 7, Run the Jewels with their debut self-titled album. Run the Jewels at this point is kind of a household name. It consists of LP producing and rhyming and Killer Mike rapping too. One of my favorite hip-hop duos. Their debut is so good. This is such a good record. Go check this out if you haven't. This is one of those weird ones where it's not really in the underground, but it's not super popular that everybody knows about it. And more people should. Some fantastic one-liners. The beats are a little crazy. They've got a little bit of an electronic feel to them. But both LP and Killer Mike ride on top of these beats really well. And some of the time, surprisingly, LP out-raps Killer Mike, which still blows my mind. Because Killer Mike is one of those guys that he makes his words, he chooses his words very carefully. And LP keeps up with him. And LP's flow is better sometimes. Fantastic record. That's number 7, Run the Jewels with their debut self-titled record. Number 6, Tyler the Creator with Wolf. This is Tyler's sophomore full-length, his 3rd release. He considers Bastard an album, but it's actually a mixtape in a lot of people's eyes. This is his 2nd commercial release after Goblin, and he steps his game up a lot. This gives you a lot of introspective. This gives you a lot of the word you know what I'm saying. This is kind of a preview to what's to come. Especially if you listen to a track like IFHY, I Fucking Hate You, where it's kind of got this R&B feel to it, and he's angry and he's talking about a relationship. This is a good album. You've still got your corny ass Tyler with songs like Jamba, which has Haji on it. Some fantastic rapping, but it's a little corny. I think Bitch Suck Dick is on this one. Let me find the track listing on here. I could be wrong. There is one on here that is in that vein, and I'm not a big fan of it simply because I don't understand why you need to make a track like that. Now that I think about it, Trash Wang is on here. Good record, good album, a lot of really good points. The only thing I will say, and this is actually now with past 2020 vision, he could have done better. Again, at the time, and still to this day, it's a fantastic record. Definitely a step up from Goblin. But when you look now at what progressed into now Igor, this could have been better. But it's still fantastic. Tyler the Creator, Wolf at number 6. We're in the top 5. Like I said, we're moving this time. I don't want to spend too much time on each album because that's what gets boring and people don't like that shit. And I'm not that interesting of a person anyways. Number 5, we go to Hopsin-Knock Madness. Talked a little bit about Hopsin in my 2010 video. Born and raised, well, I don't know if he was born and raised, but he's from California. Originally signed to Ruthless Records, and then he released Gazing at the Moonlight, and nothing fucking happened with it. He got pissed off, jumped ship. On Raw, his debut on Funk Volume, he talks a lot of shit about Teyana Taylor? Or no, that's not Teyana Taylor. That's something completely different. That's like some good music shit. I'm thinking of, right, Eazy-E's wife. Talks a lot of shit about her on Raw. On this, it feels like he's kind of slowing down a little bit and thinking a little bit more about what he's saying and what he's communicating with his audience. It's a good record. There's still a couple tracks that I'm like, why the fuck would you make this? But at this point, having it be a Hopsin album, if you don't expect those tracks, you're going to be very sadly disappointed because they are there. But he's got Hip Hop Sinister on here, which is a fantastic track. Number 4, R.A. the Rugged Man with Legends Never Die. Not a lot of people know about this dude, and it's really sad. He's from New York. He was rapping back in the days of Biggie and Jay-Z before any... Oh, sorry, hold on. He was rapping back in the days before Biggie and Jay-Z, and nobody really knows about him. He's still very much in the underground, but this dude is one of the best wordsmiths I've ever heard. He knows how to lay a word, and he knows how to keep you interested. And he doesn't have to change up his flow and go super fast or be super choppy with it. He just raps, and he does a fantastic job. One of my favorite artists, R.A. the Rugged Man. If you have not, go check him out. There's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of something for everybody on this track. You've got The People's Champ, which is your classic underground shit talk song. And then you've got Legends Never Die, Daddy's Halo, which is this glorious song to his recently deceased dad that he makes. And at the very end, you see his voice. You hear his voice kind of breaking up as he's trying to say these last few lines in order to get him out. And it's kind of a heartbreaking moment, but it's so good, and you can feel the emotion, and he's so honest. If you have not, go listen to R.A. the Rugged Man. I think he's released 2 or 3 full lengths. You will not be disappointed. Number 3, Earl Sweatshirt-Doris. As you know, I used to be a huge Odd Future fan. Earl was always my favorite rapper, and still to this day, of Odd Future, he is my favorite rapper. He's one of my favorites in the scene, bar none. I mean, it's not just an Odd Future thing. This album is very good. It's exactly what I expected. He released Earl, his debut mixtape, back in like 2011. Got sent to Samoa by his mom, across seas for a while, comes back, releases Doris, and it's very impressive. It's a very good album. You kind of see a little bit of the shift from what he was doing on Earl, the mixtape, of a little bit of horrorcore, into what he does now, which is straight underground. Every word means something different than it sounds albums. This is a very good segue into what he does now. Very good record. If you haven't listened to Chum, I always say Chum is my favorite record Earl has ever made, purely because it's so honest. You hear the emotion in his voice. The beat is so good. It's got this very strange, off-kiltered snare drum that comes in. He flows on top of it, and he doesn't get wavered or anything. He just sits there and goes, and it sounds... Oh, that's some paint on my fingernail. Weird. It just sounds so good. I love Earl. I love Doris. Check it out. Number 2, we go to Ugly Heroes with their self-titled record. Ugly Heroes consists of Apollo Brown on beats, Verbal Kent, and Red Pill, a.k.a. Chris Orick. Released on Mellow Music. Mellow Music is slowly becoming one of my favorite record labels to find this hip-hop shit on. It's so good. They do not release bad music, at least not that I've heard so far. This is one of my favorite releases from them. Apollo Brown is a semi-famous producer in the underground scene. Verbal Kent is a semi-famous MC in the underground scene. Red Pill, a.k.a. Chris Orick. I say that because he used to go by Red Pill. He now goes by Chris Orick. I'll just refer to him as Chris. He's actually one of my favorite rappers altogether. He makes some fantastic songs. He's one of those dudes that he doesn't have to say a lot, but he says so much in the few words he chooses. He's very picky about the words he uses. Check this album out. Definitely not for the weak of heart. You're going to hear a lot of depression. They talk a lot about how they feel. They talk a lot about what they see around them. They have this song called God's Day Off where they talk about even God had to take a day off. And the idea behind it, the verses, the chorus, everything is so perfect. This is such a good album. One of my favorite on Mellow. Go check it out. This is Ugly Heroes with their debut, or I don't know if it was their debut, but it's their self-titled record. And the moment you have been waiting for, my favorite album of 2013. And this probably won't surprise anybody if you know me. Mac Miller, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. I don't know what I can't say about this album. For the fact that he can come out with an album like Blue Slide Park, one of the worst albums of that year, in my opinion. Just bubblegum bullshit. He's not saying anything of substance. He's just rapping. He has that dumbass Missed Call song. I didn't like it. And I understand he's dead. And I'm not trying to talk shit about the death. Or talk shit about the dead. But Blue Slide Park was so bad. I never expected his sophomore album to be this fucking good. I can't talk enough about this album. Everything about this album changes. The beats he chooses are perfect. They're a little bit of that, they have that underground quality, kind of like he found something a little interesting that nobody knows about. He sits on top of them well. He rides them like a smooth wave. He does not falter. The feature list is outstanding. You've got Earl Sweatshirt, Absol, Action Bronson, Tyler the Creator, Vinny Radio. It's a fantastic feature list on this album. And some of my favorite Mac songs still to this day are on here. You've got the really, really smooth SDS where it's just kind of this almost hectic beat that sounds like at any minute it's going to crash off the rails and go crazy. But he just sits on top of it and rides. It's so good. You've got Objects in the Mirror, which is this first commercial take at an R&B type of song, which we now know after The Divine Feminine and Swimming and Circles is what he eventually goes to. But it's kind of the first take, and he does it fantastically. Red Dot Music, which probably has my favorite feature from Action Bronson on it. The beat is banging. It sounds so good. And Watching Movies, the title track, is just a very good track that I can't say enough about, and I don't want to ruin it for you. This is that moment when Max switches from being the teenage bubblegum rapper that all the little girls love to being that underground rapper that loses respect of this side of the crowd, but all of us other rap fans are like, that's impressive. Like, it's hard to go from this to this, and he made my favorite album in 2013. Rest in peace, Mac. Just what a glorious album. If you have not, go check this album out. Still my favorite of that year. One of my favorites of the decade. Probably one of my favorites ever. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Check it out. Mac Miller, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. As always, my least favorite album of 2013 will also probably not come as a surprise. A lot of people said this was the worst album of 2013. That is Kanye West, Yeezus. God, this is god-awful. Very disappointed. And it's not even all Kanye's fault. I mean, it is. But I would like to find somebody else to blame. The tracks on here do not seem as inspired as they do on the album before this, which is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which had these really good tracks. Like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is one of those surprising albums where it had really good fucking tracks. And it just seems like he kind of took what he did on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which was made this symphonic, beautiful hip-hop album, and said, how can I piss the people that liked my old shit off the most? And he does. This is almost a trap album, but it's so electronic, I can't even call it that. A couple of these tracks are okay. I'll sit down and listen to it. It's not the worst album in history. It's no Chief Keef, Finally Rich. 2012 joke. But I mean, Blood on the Leaves I can listen to. And actually, there's a Chief Keef feature on, I want to say, New Slaves. I could be wrong. There's a Chief Keef feature on this album. And it's actually impressive. He does mumble a little bit, which nobody likes mumble rap nowadays. But the way the beat works and the way Chief Keef's voice flows and sits on top of that beat, it just fits perfectly. And I do enjoy that. Other than that, this album is not very good. My least favorite of 2013. Awards. As far as awards go, you know how this works. I'm going to name off some of these albums that I thought deserved a little extra something something. And so we're going to say what those albums are. First off, my favorite verse goes to Pusha T on Numbers on the Board. The very first verse on there. There is so much that he is saying that if you just listen to it once, you're going to miss it. Double entendres left to right. Wordplay is outstanding. I mean, fantastic. Listen to that track. Favorite verse of 2013, the first verse off of Numbers on the Board by Pusha T. My favorite hook, I already said this, goes to Mike Posner on The Spark, which is on extended play by Statik Selecta. Mike Posner is one of those guys that he sings in his falsetto and sounds so good doing it. And I don't know how he does it, but the hook on The Spark specifically, because I believe he has a couple hooks on here, but his hook on The Spark is just on point, dead on, fits perfectly on the beat. Love it. Best beat of the year also goes to Numbers on the Board by Pusha T. I don't know off the top of my head who produced this track, which would be very good for this award, and I'm going to do that next time. But yeah, Numbers on the Board, favorite beat of 2013. My best song has to, without a doubt, go to Chum off of Doris by Earl Sweatshirt. So much honesty to it, so much wordplay. Listening to it once does not give it credit. This might be my favorite song of the decade. It's definitely up there. Fantastic track. Chum, Earl Sweatshirt. My favorite artwork goes to Watching Movies with the Sound Off. Very basic. I like the red that's behind him. I like the fact that there's an apple that kind of breaks away the brown and the skin tone and kind of moves everything together. I like the fact that there's this little fucking angel just hanging here, which if you listen to the album, there's so much implication behind that. And my favorite guest feature of the year also goes to Watching Movies with the Sound Off for that Action Bronson verse I was talking about on Red Dot Music. I just can't talk enough good about this album. Pleasantly surprised. As far as always, I do 5 albums I hope to get at some point to add to my collection for this year. The 5 I do not own that I want is Joe Budden, No Love Lost, Czarface with their self-titled album, Ill Bill, The Grimy Awards, John Connor, Unconscious State, and Crooked Eye, aka King Crooked, with Apex Predator. These are albums I'm looking forward to getting. Thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you did not, give me a thumbs down, but tell me in the comments why you didn't like it. Can't fix shit if you don't tell me what it is. Just, again, a heads up. This is the best quality they get until I actually start putting money into it, which probably won't happen. Give me your list. I would love to compare notes. Tell me what you liked about my list. Tell me what you disagreed with. Give me your full 13. I'd love to read about them. Tell me some other albums from 2013 that I should get into, and I will definitely check them out. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the top 14 of 2014. Thanks.